Holy big naturals, Batman. I am here today to tell you guys about a game called Nunholy, and that is Nunholy. You should go find that on Steam. You should pay the $7 and change, and you should play the ever-loving shit out of this game because it is so incredible. I bought it not really expecting that much. I'm not someone who is super into roguelikes. You could say it's because of a skill issue. You would probably be correct. For me personally, I don't really find the gameplay loops very satisfying. I tend to get frustrated pretty easily with stuff that's heavier on like difficulties. I'm more of a, I like a lot of story. I like to be able to, like accessorize my drip. I like to look good. I like a little bit of romance, that's the kind of person I am. However, I am waiting for a couple games to drop. Number one, Doom. Okay, never played Doom. Gonna play that when it comes out on Wednesday. As well as Tainted Grail. If you are visiting my channel, it's at some point you've probably seen my channel specifically because I am a huge Tainted Grail fangirl. Okay, so in the interim, okay, it's Monday when I am recording this. I had the day off. I'm gonna have tomorrow off, and I'm gonna be dedicating all of that time to playing this game because it is the first roguelike that I have encountered where I am just like madly in love. Okay, and it is not because of the body types. Okay, in fact, typically when I see these kinds of characters presented, I tend to not take them seriously, and I would naturally not gravitate towards that. Not because I don't like big naturals, okay? I love big naturals. We support them. We stand them. We are fans of big naturals in this household, in this channel. We love tits, okay? However, all right, I am not a huge anime lover, and I tend to find games that have that particular art style, they tend to be more along the dating sim line, and there's just a certain level of cringe I can't descend to. However, that is not the case with this game. So when I first started playing it, you're immediately hit with like gorgeous art. Okay, this is made by one particular developer, by the way. So if you look at their Steam page, this was created by an individual by the name of Chowby. It looks like they have another game called Wedding Witch, which I can tell you I will be finding that and playing that when I've had my fill of this. But as soon as you load into, you're given the option between three characters, okay? I'm probably Preya, I think Preya, because they're nuns, so I'm gonna say it's Preya. So you have Preya, who's a vampire hunter, you have Marie, who's an executioner, and then you have Sane, who's a purifier. Now, I went with Sane, because she's kind of a hybrid combat style, so she does holy damage, but she also has, sword and dagger, so she's a little bit more ranged DPS, which I like, and I think that she, based on what I'm seeing online, she might be one of the more difficult ones to play, so I am definitely going to try some of the other ones. But she, you really have to stay very, very quick with her. She is a character that you are constantly mobile with, which I kind of like. It adds a lot of excitement to the gameplay. In addition to that, you've got Preya, the vampire hunter. From what I can glean, and I haven't played the other two characters, so when you're playing these characters, just as kind of a diversion from what I was saying, but anyway, each character is their own save slot. So anything that you level up skills and abilities and those kinds of things, they're specific to the character. Okay, so if you start out with Preya, you're gonna level her up the way that you want, and you don't have to stick to a specific playstyle. So just because of her weapons, you don't have to stick to one particular playstyle. You can kind of customize it a little bit. But whatever you do with that character will be specific with that character. The same with Marie. You're gonna have a very specific playthrough with her. Same thing with Sane. So just to kind of give like a quick cursory, there's Sane, okay, so she's kind of hybrid, she's melee and ranged, she does sword and daggers. You have Marie, the Executioner, so she does holy damage and burn damage, but it looks like primarily she's just full-on gun, so she's primarily ranged. And then you have Freya, and she kind of seems more quintessential. So her damage is specifically melee. She's got an axe, and then she also has a gun. So you're going to kind of read through these, decide which one of these characters you want to start it with, and then you're going to go ahead and proceed to the game. So when you're proceeding to the game, you are met with a pretty badass opening cinematic, in my opinion. Already in the opening menu, you've got metal music in the background, and it's not like crappy, shitty metal music. It's legitimately good. You get kind of a little opening monologue that's going to set the stage for you and kind of give you an idea of the world. And it's very brief. It doesn't take a lot of time before you're immediately kind of just dumped into the tutorial. Now, for me, again, as mentioned before, I fumbled a little bit trying to kind of get used to it because I'm not accustomed to these types of games. However, you pick it up really, really quickly. I did play this on controller. It looks, you know, I tried it on mouse and keyboard a little bit. I didn't love it as much, so I just started playing it with a PS5 controller. This game doesn't necessarily support a PS5 controller, so it will convert your controls over to an Xbox controller, which is fine. Now, your enemy types, they are going to change as you progress through the dungeon. You start out pretty simple in the tutorial. You're literally just fighting some dogs, some skeletons. Do not underestimate those skeletons, though, because those big freaking swords can really do some damage to you. Also, apparently, you're fighting the clan, so you know what? It's amazing. You're killing vampires and you're fighting racism. Hell yeah, bro. And you have big tits. You don't really get much better than that. Sorry, Freudian slip. Now, your ultimate goal, right, as you're fighting your way through this dungeon, is to find and kill the vampire queen, okay? And to do this, you have to work your way through sort of individual levels, right? You have to kill the clan leaders, and I'm joking too much. You have to kill all the minor enemies. And so you're fighting in this order, not necessarily in this order, but in this difficulty order. Knight, Baron, Count, Duke. Okay, so Knight, sure, whatever. Baron, uh-oh. Count, holy shit. Duke, oh my fucking god. Vampire Queen, holy shit, big naturals, oh my fucking god. Okay, that's kind of... That's the best way to put it. The game will explain it to you a little bit differently. So when you die, you're going to go back to a parish. Inside that parish, you will have NPCs that you can interact with. They are going to be helping you level up your skills and ability. There are also NPCs that you can interact with inside the dungeon. You can buy and sell health. You can, well, when I say health, you can sell your blood. Okay, and in exchange for your blood, you get something back. You also find out, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's not, you know, this isn't a hugely story-based game, so I'm not that concerned about telling you, but you find out you're a half vampire. Whoa, big surprise. Nobody saw that coming, right? So your blood in particular is very valuable, so you can trade your blood in exchange for certain boons. So you're also going to find some different currencies. So you have rubies. Now, with the rubies, you increase affinity. And the affinity that you're specifically increasing is the people that are inside the dungeons, okay? You can also use them to upgrade your skills at the parish. Now, when you're upgrading your skills, those are permanent, okay? And again, they are character specific, so it's not going to, if you're playing Sane, it's not going to carry over to Marie. You also have silver coins. You can use those to upgrade skills at the parish. Again, go to the parish when you die. That's where all your sisters are. They're a little flirty though, so watch out. And then you also have bloodstones, which you can just purchase items and artifacts. You will see, so when I say items, I'm being vague because, you know, obviously you can get like plants and garlic and, you know, stuff like that. The artifacts, you kind of have this sort of like Diablo-esque inventory. You can sell those artifacts. You can also upgrade them when you get to certain points in the dungeon if you open certain rooms. And they essentially give you passives and also allow you to enhance some of your weapons and skills. Now, you also have abilities, because of course, why the fuck would you not have abilities? So your abilities are going to change how your weapons and your skills interact, as well as give you like OP powers, right? So you're going to be exploding corpses, or you sprint and, you know, there's like a blood wave behind you, you know, like that kind of thing. There's a really cool one where you can do like a bloodstorm, and while the bloodstorm is active, you're invulnerable to damage. And one thing that I find really, really satisfying and fun about this is, so typically when I play a game, especially a roguelike, okay, my goal is to get to the end of it, but I find it frustrating because you're killed, you have to start all the way over. However, the dungeon exploration in this is pretty satisfying and fun, and as you're progressing through the game, and I know this isn't crazy, like this is not deviating from a known system, right? But there are a lot of smaller systems that combine to make it super interactive and engaging. So as you're progressing through this dungeon, and when you have to start over, it doesn't feel like you lost all of your progress, right? Because again, when you're leveling up your skills, those are still there, right? So you're still gonna have, like, you know, take 10% less damage even if you have to start over from the beginning. And that's good, because for me, I'm like, okay, that's enough for me to say, okay, I've made progress. Let's go out and kill some clan members, okay? And some little tiny two-legged, you know, aliens. Literally, they look like the alien from Alien. You know what I'm talking about, okay? And they spit acid, so, you know, I'm pretty sure it's them. Like, working your way through this game is very, like, Leonardo on the couch, you know, smoking the cigarette, pointing at the screen, going, "That's me!" You know, you can really suss out the pop culture references, but it's done in a creative and fun way that doesn't feel like plagiarism, you know. It just feels like somebody that's having a good time and is making an homage to something that they really love. Now, full disclosure, I have not completed this game. I dumped a few hours into it today, and I plan to play the ever-loving shit out of this until Doom comes out, and then once Doom bores me, I'm gonna come back to this. I cannot express enough. This game is like $7.49 on Steam. Okay, this is something that is entirely worth your time, and you should 100% support. Not only because you got some pretty great titties, but you have you have a game that's taking familiar systems and putting them together in a way that works cohesively and is incredibly fun. Also, you know, the boobies and the outfits and the flirting, you know, it's very tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think is really, really important for a game like this to succeed. I don't feel secondhand embarrassment playing this game. In fact, it has made me more open to roguelikes and to other games like this, and I'm for sure gonna head over to this dude's Steam page and see what else he's got, because very impressive game. Once again, if you have a gaming slump or you're just looking for something like this is worth your time. You should play it. Not take you long at all to feel like you're making progress. You start out feeling super weak. But if you're engaging with all of the systems within the game and you're doing so correctly, which I don't see how you could do so incorrectly, because it's very, very user-friendly. It's very, I've never played a game like this before friendly. But you are going to start feeling yourself become stronger. It's almost like going to the gym, you know? Like, you start out, you're super weak, your form is shit, you think everybody's looking at you, so the only thing that you're doing is running on the treadmill, but you're not actually running because you're super out of shape. And then, you know, 6 months later, you're super fucking swole, you go in there and you, like, you rock shit, okay? And that's kind of what this game, that's what this game is. You feel when you are starting to get stronger, and it feels freaking fantastic. I mean, your screen, it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, okay? Like, just, it is so, like, it's hitting all of the dopamine triggers within your brain and just lighting up your neurons, and then on top of it, boobs, okay? Like, you can't beat it. So if you have less than $8 to spare and a little bit of time on your hands to kill, buy this game. Even if you're not typically into this, it's very, very, like, never played a game like this before, gamer friendly, okay? Like, you could be an absolute blockhead and still manage to have fun in this game. So please buy this game, support the dev, because we need more games like this. Anyway, if you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you guys in the next one.